Hey guys, welcome back to JTech. So today's episode is going to be about a cheap alternative to RGB RAM. The RAM I'm using is DDR3. It's extremely hard to find RGB RAM. I think there's like maybe one or two companies that made it originally. So I found a different company. There's one called Johnsbow, I believe it's called, and then there's one called Uphere. Basically, they are just kits to take the original heat spreader off your RAM and put these on. These plug in, and then they have RGB effects. Originally, I bought them thinking, hey, in the pictures it looks like, they're RGB red, blue, whatever, but they kind of go rainbow. Like, they do whatever they want when they want kind of thing, and they just cycle through colors, which honestly turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Now, after the desk rebuild, turns out one of my RAM sticks has burnt out. It's dead. It's no longer any good. So we're gonna pull the spreader off and we're gonna put it on a new piece of RAM, and then we're gonna put it back in the computer. Now, today's review though is going to be about this uphere kit. So while I'm stripping this, I will explain everything. So how this works is in the box, you get a really nice box. There's two per kit, so I ended up buying four. They're less than $20 a kit. They're really, really cheap. They're very well packaged. They come with really good instructions, and they come in the container itself. It comes with everything you possibly want. They work for single-sided DIMMs and double-sided, so you can use either or. It doesn't really matter. They come with all the thermal pads and the spacers you would need for either of them. The instructions, like I said, are very well laid out if you actually pay attention. Some of the reviews, people kind of were being really weird about it, as if it was hard to understand or something, but it really isn't hard to understand if you pay attention. It's not that difficult. It's pretty simple. So today, the idea is we're going to pull this all apart. We're going to pull my RAM off because my stick is dead, unfortunately. Not quite sure how it happened. Maybe it got bounced around or not, but anyway. So today, we're going to be taking the heat spreader off this Hyper. It's DDR3, 4 gigs, 1600, whatever. It's just what I had laying around. And what you need to do this is you're going to need a star screwdriver. A flathead screwdriver helps a lot of the time, or a razor blade, but I prefer the flathead. I suggest gloves because, surprisingly enough, these heat spreaders, when you're trying to pull them off, a lot of them are really sharp. Like, you wouldn't think it, but they're really sharp. And it gets warm. Another thing that is very helpful is either a hairdryer or a heat gun. I'm going to be using a heat gun. And the idea is you just use the heat gun to warm up the heat spreader. Just warm it up. Again, don't worry about it too much. You're not going to really hurt it. Just obviously don't cook it. You're not trying to do it. You're just trying to warm it up so you can get the adhesive that's on it off. I use a flathead screwdriver if I have to pry under it a little bit. Usually once you get it under a little, you can get your hands on it and you can pull it off. So let's do it, and then I'll show you how to put it back together. Like I said, it usually doesn't take all that much. And once you get under the side, usually you can hear it. And once you get it going, as I say, put on gloves and then I take them off, right? Probably a dumb call on my part. Some of these, because these are older sticks, the glue's on there pretty good. Obviously, you want to try not to pry against any of the pins. You kind of want to just stick to the sides. Like I said, I don't worry too much about hurting the RAM, especially heat-wise. I wouldn't worry too much because for the most part, they will be fine. So this one seems like it is a single-sided dim, where the ones that I had before were doubles, so it'll be a little bit different. I might have to go find the package and then come right back, but this does have a spacer on it, so I should be okay. There's already a spacer on this one right here. That is just a spacer to take up the gap, where normally the chips are on both sides. This is only on the one. So that being said, everything should go together perfectly fine still. Now, I did notice that some people in the comments while buying this were having some issues when putting it together. It can be a bit tricky. It can be. It's not too bad. I found that if you do something like this and you take the RAM itself and you lay it down. Now, remember too, when you're doing this, make sure you know which way you need your cord out and which way you need the RAM facing. So, with that being said, okay, so I went and checked and I got cut off there at the end. But basically, you want to make sure you check and double check to make sure which way you want the RAM stick to sit in for the cords to come out. So, in my situation, I need it to lay like this. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that one, you're all the way across, and two, you are touching your thermal pad all the way across. I find making sure to take your stick and lining it up where you want it, centered the best you can, and then just pushing it in place a little bit. Once you're happy with the situation of it, to take the other one, grab a screw, the screwdriver, line it up, and then put it down. Now, the one thing I will say is, depending on the kit you're using, you could always run into some issues. One, maybe it won't fit the way you want it to 100%, or maybe it's just not as snug. The kit overall is built really, really, really well. This uphere kit is brushed aluminum. It's very, very sturdy overall. You don't need to over tighten anything. Just snug it up. And basically, that's what you end up getting. Now, if this isn't sitting the way you need it to, which I don't know, this might not sit the exact way I want it to. I'm going to have to check because, again, they're two different sticks. So we'll see how this sits. I'll go test it and make sure it sits even with the rest of them. For the most part, the build is just brushed aluminum. It's got an RGB strip in it that you plug in, just straight power. A fan header is all you need. You can daisy chain them together, and then they light up. They start as a solid and they slowly blend through, and then they go all rainbowy and they just do whatever effect they want. Personally, though, for the amount of money they are, instead of the ugly heat sinks that come on these, you know what I mean, just blue or whatever, to add a little bit of color on your RAM, I think it's a great buy. They're like 14 or 15 bucks for two, so can't really complain. Anyway, I'm gonna go put this in, make sure everything sits right, and then when I boot the system, I will show you just a quick scroll through what they do color-wise. Okay, so everything is reinstalled. The desk is still apart right now. I'm just doing this so I can show you what they look like on first boot. I know the light's probably not going to be the greatest, and my other lights are on, so I'm going to shut them all off too. But just to give you an idea on what they look like on first boot, they usually come up like one solid color, and then they slowly roll through all of it. So like they'll start off like red, go to blue, go to green, and then as they go, this is a really crappy camera to focus on this, but basically you guys can't really see it, but right now there are a bunch of different colors. Like it's all rainbow. Like there's some green, some red, some purples, there's some blues. Like it kind of just scrolls through all the colors. Again, for what it is though, it's a cool little RGB solution for something that doesn't normally have it. You know what I mean? So I like them. I think they look good. They're good quality, easy to use, and I definitely would recommend them for anyone using an older system or even a new system that doesn't have RGB. It's a nice cheap solution to make something pretty cool and work out. Anyway, everything will be in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you once again want to donate anything towards a custom build, feel free to hit me up, DM me, whatever you want to do. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you on the next.